It's Wednesday, August 17th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, the borrower Arrietty.
Let's do this.
Played some Burning Wheel last night, like we do.
Yep.
And, one trouble of the large game, even the small game of D&D or anything, is that you need food. And it's not like the old days when we were punk kids, and you just, buy an infinite amount of terrible snack food like sun chips and stuff, and just
one guy eats them all?
Yeah, that one guy. But those are like the 12-hour gaming sessions where, maybe 6 hours of that was gaming, and the rest was just dicking around and attacking the darkness and all that crap. But we're adults now. We got adult lives. We're in a hurry. So when we play a 4-hour game, it's a 4-hour game. We don't have time to do anything else. So I thought I'd make some chili. Figure that's a nice way to have some food for everybody while we're playing the game that doesn't get in the way, slow us down, don't have to go out or order pizza or anything. And I think it was pretty good chili. Would you agree? It was okay.
All right. It was good.
It was pretty spicy. It was the right level of spicy. I think I did the spiciness correctly.
Yeah, all right.
So I put in this thing, a third a cup of chili powder and a whole bunch of cayenne pepper and green peppers and jalapenos, and it was awesome. But I washed the pot after everyone went home before I went to bed. And then I went to play some Nintendo games. And my hands are starting to burn. They're tingly, and I'm kind of wondering what's going on? Why are my hands tingly? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And then they're starting to get hot, like they're on fire. And I can't figure it out. I'm just about to freak out. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And I think back to washing out the bottom of the pot. And it was basically like the condensed, scraped down pepper at the bottom.
This is why you wear gloves when you do dishes.
I usually don't do dishes.
It's just one of the reasons you wear gloves when you do dishes.
Nah.
There are many other reasons.
Nah, you don't do enough dishes to wear gloves.
Okay, if you're doing even one dish, gloves.
You're going to put on gloves to wash one water cup?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You really put on gloves to rinse out one water cup?
Yes, I do.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to wait with a camera and catch you not doing it.
Sure.
Yeah. So, that sucked. I washed my hands. Obviously, that doesn't work. It's too late. So I give up and go to bed with my hands kind of on fire. Woke up in the morning.
Hands still on fire.
Hands still on fire. Took a shower. Hands still on fire. Went to work. Hands still on fire.
Yeah.
It was about noon that the hands were no longer on fire.
So you get what you deserve.
It wasn't bad. It was just kind of odd. It was an odd sensation that I had not experienced before.
Some people pay for that. You can go to the drugstore and buy Capsicol or whatever. So,
it's Wednesday.
Yep.
There's lots happening in the anime world. Tons of news.
Not really, no.
Otakon happened, and
Yeah.
Goto Shinkai will also be at the New York Comic-Con Anime Festival, so we'll get him there.
Good. So, check this out. What was one of the best movies of recent years?
How recent do you qualify recent years?
I have to ask IMDb because I forget the year.
Because depending on the time span, my answer keeps changing.
All right. So what is the top 3 movies of 2009?
2009?
Yeah.
Was Inception 2009?
I'm going to
Or was
find
that
out.
2010? I don't remember.
I'll find out right now.
This is what happened.
Inception was 2010.
Ah, crap. What even came out in 2009? I guess Avatar?
The blue one? Yep,
Yeah.
that was 2009.
Okay.
The blue one.
I'd put that on the list. I thought that was a pretty solid sci-fi movie.
It was okay.
I enjoyed it.
Not as good as the movie I'm thinking of.
Fuck movies did I see that were from 2009 that were good? I don't know.
How about Black Dynamite?
Oh, shit, son.
Oh, shit. And you know what? Black Dynamite, first of all, there's a comic book. I already have issue 1. You got to get that shit. Number 2, there's going to be a cartoon. And
I've seen the first episode.
the first episode, you can go watch on Adult Swim's website. And it's for real.
It is very good at being exactly what it should be.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to say that it's good. It's got a lot of...
How is it not good?
It's I don't know. There's something weird about it. The whole time,
It's great.
Part of my brain is saying, this is awful, thrown together pablum. And the other part of my brain is saying, shut the fuck up.
My entire brain just says, Anyone who doesn't like this is a jive ass honky.
I think why I like it in the end and why all the cons are outweighed by the pros is that every time it makes a joke, it doubles down on that joke. Like, you got a stereotype, you double the fuck down on that stereotype.
Well, that's why it's not just blacks; it's black exploitation.
Yep.
If you don't
Bastard,
double and triple down, that's not exploitation, is it?
This is what Black Bastard should have been.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And also, once it doubles down, like, it'll make a joke. It skips immediately to the setup for the next double down. Like, it moves quick and it pretty much skips any sort of like plot. And I don't know, it's really true to the movie too. I love the flashback where he's like,
I used to be a children.
his dad is like, I'm leaving you to raise Black Dynamite as a single mother because I'm gonna go drinking. You should all watch this. It's pretty good.
You should watch this, and then when the show comes out, watch that too. And if you haven't watched the movie, what the fuck?
A warning on the movie. The movie is great, but much like Eden of the East, the movie starts out as an A blaxploitation movie.
Yeah, the movie's like a little bit of a roller coaster. It's like, so awesome. This part is a little bit boring. Oh my God, it's awesome again. And then this went on too long.
Tell you straight up, the so awesome peaks right before Secret Chinese Lab on Island.
Yeah.
And then it's way downhill, but then it has this huge uptick with one of my favorite lines in any movie ever. I threw that shit before I came in here.
Oh, I threw that shit before I came in the room. You don't even remember the line.
No, because the point is he threw that shit before.
He came in the room.
He came before.
Yeah. Sure
but
did.
then, like, he fights Nix. The movie's just like a half hour too long.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Eden of the East went from an A to a B by the end.
That's all right.
Yeah. So once the thing comes back that he threw before, you can actually stop watching the movie. There's nothing else to see that's worth seeing.
Anyway, Black Dynamite.
Yeah, Black Dynamite.
Don't miss it.
I feel like I'm going to watch the entire cartoon. It's right up there with Archer in terms of amount of actual physical laughter it brought out of me.
I don't like that show.
I don't know what's wrong with you. Archer is, in my opinion,
not funny
the
at all.
funniest cartoon to come out in many years.
Ponies is way funnier than that.
Ponies I like a lot, but it's the drama and the characters and the cuteness that draws me in more than the funny.
That's what I'm saying. Is Ponies is not just humor, but the Archer supposedly is, but Archer has less humor than a show that is only partially humor.
I don't think it does. Here, I rate humor.
In fact, it has no humor. It's not funny at all.
The way I rate humor in shows now is I use my own metric of me, because I will often see things that are funny, but if I'm with people, you tend to laugh. Like, even if something's not that funny, if there's a bunch of people around, like at a stand-up comedian, there's like this human vibe where you start, like, you'll laugh more often.
Yep.
Like, you'll laugh at stuff. Like, I remember we'd watch, I don't know, like Dana Carvey together, like a bunch of the crew, and we'd laugh hysterically. I can watch Chopping Broccoli by myself, and my brain says, this is hilarious, but it does not force me to laugh out loud.
Yep.
I don't just laugh in an empty room.
This is well-known psychologies.
So, Archer has made me laugh out loud by myself more times than any TV show I have seen in at least a few years.
It made me laugh 0 times.
I don't know what's wrong with you. It is some funny shit.
It's not funny at all.
How can you not find Archer funny?
I
It's
just
kind of like how you don't like
funny.
Firefly
It's just boring.
or Cowboy Bebop,
and weird. What do you mean I like Cowboy Bebop?
but you don't like Firefly or Archer? What the fuck? Anyway, so Redline. I've talked about this off and on. I've been excited about Redline pretty much from before it existed. It's been in production forever, and the fact that it actually came out kind of amazed me. Like, when we saw that trailer for it way back, it looked like the kind of thing you'd see from like a Genius party. I was amazed that it was actually a movie that was really coming out. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but the date has finally passed, because it was announced in April that Redline, which was kind of botched in terms of release. Like, reviewers who have seen it have said surprisingly unqualified things like, this is the greatest and most important animated movie to come out in the last decade.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people have been saying things of that level
You realize
about Redline.
a lot of anime movies have come out in the last decade that are better than that.
Well, other than Summer Wars and The Girl Who Left Through Time and Sort of a Stranger.
But I mean, there's movies that came out in the last decade that are animated that it cannot possibly be better than.
I don't know, because what people have been saying is not so much best, but most important, because it's different and weird. It's kind of like the cool.
What year is it?
It's 2011.
So what year was it? 10 years ago.
2001.
So a 2001 movie could qualify.
Can you name 10 anime movies that came out in that time
I
that
don't
you
have
consider good?
I don't have to name 10. I just have to name one.
All right.
Spirited Away came out in 2001. Therefore, this cannot possibly be better.
I didn't say better. Nor I didn't even
It
say
can't
most important.
possibly be more important.
I said that people are saying. I'm reporting on what those assholes are saying.
Well, I just proved that they're assholes.
I have not seen Redline. I do not have an opinion on Redline yet. But much like when I saw that trailer to Escaflowne way back before it came out in the U.S., I've been mad excited about it, which is rare. I rarely get excited about an anime movie that is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the release was kind of botched. Like, it didn't really have a good theatrical release, either in the U.S. or in Japan.
What is up with everyone around the world, right? It seems like everyone is botching releases of things, except for Valve. When Valve makes a game, they release that game to the entire world simultaneously with great fanfare at the same price. They've learned that lesson, and it's awesome.
Because Valve doesn't have to rely on theaters playing a movie.
Okay, Nintendo has like these games, right?
Oh, Nintendo's just stupid. I'm not defending Nintendo.
But two of those games they're just going to put out in Europe.
Now, you know what's awesome?
It's like, what the fuck?
The whole Nintendo, let me give you my money thing. As we'll talk about at PAX, they used to do that. They brought out not just Aerobiz, but Aerobiz Supersonic, a game where you play the CEO of an airline and you have to increase profits and send Tanaka to like business meetings in Hong Kong.
I also want to say Millennium Actress, Paprika, and Tokyo Godfathers all came out in the last decade.
Yeah, and they're super good movies. But
there's no way I would bet $0 that Redline is better than any of those four
better,
movies.
Scott. I did not
or more important.
I said one of the best, that it'll rank up there. And two, the reason people are saying it's important is that it has a lot of the qualities that gave it that kind of general appeal that movies like Akira had when they were released in the U.S. Like Akira, a lot of people who never saw any anime before and never saw any anime again saw Akira in the theater.
They did.
And the argument is that Redline has all the qualities of an Akira to where, had it not been botched, this would have been like another wave of people seeing anime.
You know what quality Akira had? Was actually in theaters that people could go to.
No, because
that normal people went to.
It's not just that, but it was
on the Sci-Fi Channel and was much advertised that it was going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel.
But it was very particularly an action sci-fi, which surprisingly, it's weird how Hollywood seems to be afraid of doing a real action sci-fi.
I don't know why.
I know, and like
they
every
don't
now and then,
too 90s.
Every now and then, one comes out. And like even Inception, you could argue is action like sci-fi-esque.
Pretty much, yeah.
And yet they didn't even want to make Inception. They didn't want to release it. The fact that it came out was a miracle. And then they're like, how the fuck did it make so much money?
Avatar was
I know.
The blue one you just mentioned.
Yeah, Avatar is a great example. It's like they forget.
The thing it's annoying. You always have to say Avatar, the blue one.
Why?
You can't just say Avatar because there's so many of them.
It's not like there was any other Avatar movie.
Yeah, Ultimate Quest for the Avatar.
That wasn't a movie.
People get confused. There's too many things called Avatar.
There's the new Avatar stuff coming out, but we'll talk about that later. But anyway, it was announced that Redline will be released on Booray in Japan. There's no announcement of like an American release or anything,
right.
But the Booray will have English subtitles.
Which means it'll be on the internet real soon.
Well, it came out on August 10th, and it looks like the torrents are already making their way around the internet.
Yeah,
so
torrents.
Go watch Redline and tell me if the people who are saying it is one of the most important anime ever are accurate.
I doubt it.
Dude, it's F-Zero the movie. How can you not be pumped about
There was
that?
an anime. It was F-Zero the anime that was on Cartoon Network, and it was, I forget what it was called, but it was awful and no one watched it.
There was no F-Zero anime.
It wasn't.
There was no Avatar movie.
Actually, there was an F-Zero anime that was F-Zero, and there was another anime that wasn't actually F-Zero.
You want to know a weird F-Zero trivia that I found?
Okay.
I was researching emulators for the PAX stuff, right?
Yep.
And I found an emulator that only emulates the original F-Zero on the SNES.
Yep.
It can't play anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know why this exists?
Because no emulator emulates F-Zero properly.
No, it's not because of that. It's no more accurate than like SNES 9X for F-Zero.
Oh, okay.
It hacked in 6-player online multiplayer simultaneous racing.
Ah, shit, son.
It updates your position on everyone else's ROMs in memory, and you race fucking the original SNES F1. After PAX, I'm gonna get this shit going.
No one's gonna play that.
I'll play it like once, and then I'll give up. I'll
I'd
talk
be
about
much
it.
more excited if it was GameCube.
GameCube F-Zero.
But yes, there was an
the
anime.
best F-Zero.
There was an anime called F-Zero GP Legend. It was an anime that was F-Zero, and there was also another anime. I forget what it was called. That was about racing of the similar sort. I never saw it, but it was on Cartoon Network, and no one cared about it.
So things of the day. What do you got for me?
You know, I know you don't like this game, but I like it. Wolfenstein 3D.
It's, you know what? To say that I don't like the game is somewhat of a misnomer. I do not terribly enjoy maze games, and Wolfenstein
What
3D,
about Maze Craze?
Maze Craze is different because that's 2-player versus, and it's just the maze.
Whatever. The point is,
If it was a 2-player versus race through a maze, then yeah, I would like it.
I'm actually often disappointed that newer FPSs are so un-maze-like, and they don't have as many just completely arbitrary secret passageways. But the problem with the secret passageways in Wolfenstein is, while I like them, they're sort of just there's not often a clue to them. It's pretty much brute force touching
Well, it'll
every
be like,
wall.
oh, it'll be behind the swastika.
Yeah, but it's just touch every wall, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wolfenstein was not a fun game from many
It
perspectives.
was fun if you just tried to beat it and didn't try to find all the secrets.
It was also fun because we'd never seen a game like that before.
But anyway, here's a great game, Wolfenstein 1D.
Oh shit, son, is that in HD?
It is HD 1D in your browser, totally free.
1080p?
You can pay $35 for all 3 episodes if you send your money to Apogee Software in Tejas. You can specify 3.5 or 5.25 inch discs when ordering.
I love it when someone has a funny joke. Like someone could say, yeah, Wolfenstein 1D. And then someone actually makes the game that was the joke, demake style.
I had an idea for a similar game today. I don't know how it might work, but I don't give it a good shot of working. But it's possible. Ready for this idea?
I'm ready.
Turn-based Dota.
That would actually probably work pretty well.
Maybe.
I want Dota text adventure.
Yeah.
You have to type obscenities as fast as possible.
I think someone made a Dota roguelike already that was like, it's like, do you want to go to lane 1, 2, or 3? 1.
So I'm a big fan, as Scott knows, of YouTube videos people make that are compilations of like the 10 greatest times Arnold Schwarzenegger goes,
Or Tom Hanks peeing in every movie.
Yep, or every death in Total Recall, stuff like that. So this one is one that was actually pretty informative because I did not know most of these were improv. 25 movies that have 25 scenes, and those scenes, which are somewhat famous or well-known or iconic or have a very big actor in them, were actually improvised and not in the script.
Or at least some portion of them was improvised. Some component.
Yeah, some of them are like...
some of them are entirely improvised. Some are just have an improvised component.
Yep, or like in one of them, a real cab drove onto the set where they had like blocked everything off for filming, and the actor interacted with the cab that shouldn't have been there, and that ended up in the movie. Stuff like that. So, in the meta moment, the book club book is the ear, the eye, the arm,
The foot, the leg, the hand,
the joke,
the face.
the joke that keeps getting made every show.
Yeah, it's a great joke.
It's okay. It's kind of like the 9-somethings game.
The butt.
We will be at, not this weekend, but next weekend at the Penny Arcade Expo in Seattle.
Next to Walla Walla. Not
We will be
really,
doing
but it's pretty
on Saturday at noon, Discover the Forgotten Masters, and Saturday evening, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the tabletop workshop area, we'll be teaching people to play a whole bunch of games. And in general, the bigger news, there is a gigantic new thing for PAX, the tabletop workshop room. The experiment of
It's
it
not
is
that
this year.
gigantic.
But it's something new at PAX. They haven't been adding new things for a while. They've just been kind of extending
Penny
things they've
Arcade in
got.
general, as
Well,
we
they
know,
added that late show that we kind of bombed.
Yeah, that was
but,
horrible. Penny Arcade in general has a policy of if you're not going to do something awesome, don't do it at all. That's why they stopped making their video game, because they lost the ability to make it awesome. So they just said, well, let's not do it. You either do awesome or not at all. So
But PAX
whenever
is
they do
pretty
something
much-
new, they dip the toe.
PAX Seattle, PAX Prime is pretty much for what it like. Every part of it is run as perfectly as it could be run. So now
and they're running
just-
out of space, and the Halo Fest is taking up a lot of room.
So they have to add more, interesting things. They got more tabletop space, obviously, because that whole addendum area, the appendix this year
Is mostly taken up by Halo Fest.
Yep, but it's there at least. So Halo Fest doesn't impact existing packs.
It's true.
But they have a tabletop workshop area consisting of 2 workshop rooms, and if this goes well, we will hopefully be doing something with them, and they will have a gigantic one at PAX East. So, my task to you, fellow Paxians, is to go to the tabletop workshop area content and make sure that goddamn room is full.
Yeah.
Make them realize that they need more content like this. They're going to have indie RPG creators running demos of their indie RPGs. We'll be there playing games, teaching people how to play games.
I think you've gone on enough about this. It's supposed to be the meta moment, not the meta hour.
All right. You going to talk about how we have a website and Facebook and all that?
Yeah, you should check us out on the internet, on all the internet places.
Yep. Our
See how fast
panels
that
are
was?
online, all that stuff. Tweeter.
Yep. Search for Geeknights with the Googles.
So it's not that often that an anime movie, a full feature-length movie that isn't Pokemon, Bleach,
One
Piece, Naruto.
It's mostly One Piece every year and Pokemon every year.
Yep. But there aren't that many that come out. Never mind ones that get any manner of theatrical release in the U.S.
Well, I mean, and even ones that do come out, some of them are compilation movies. Some of them are, like direct-to-DVD OVA type movies. It's very rare that you get, and some of them are like part of an anime series, like Eden the East movie, right? It's very rare that you get the standalone anime movie, even though when you first start out in anime, there's such a history of them. There's a whole big pile of them you get to watch, but really in total, there aren't that many, at least, and especially even fewer awesome ones, right? But that, when I think about it, how do you get into anime? Almost exclusively just watching movies, not really watching TV series so much.
you'll see a movie.
I think kids nowadays get into anime with TV series like the Narutos and the DBZs, but when I started, it was mostly movies that grabbed you
Yep,
in.
you'd see a movie, usually out of context. People would see like Project Eiko or the Tenchi movie.
Wasn't Project Eiko an OVA?
Yeah, but it was the first episode, the way it was shown on TV, you could treat it as a movie. It's kind of a standalone thing. Each episode of it is basically standalone, and plus there was Battle Gray and Battle Blue, which was the movie.
That's true.
Which I think was actually also an OAV, but I digress.
I'll look it up.
So, it was originally porn.
Yeah.
But people would see these things. Like, I remember I saw the Tenchi movie, and I was fascinated because the movie didn't make a lot of sense if you didn't know about the TV show or, like, what was going on. So I'm just like, who are these characters?
Oh, no, it was a movie.
Why does she have a
Project
tail?
Eiko movie.
Why? Is that Project Battle Gray, Battle Blue?
It just says Project Eiko movie.
No.
Then there was Project Eiko 2, which is an OAV. 3 was an OAV. 4 was an OAV. Eiko the Versus was an OAV. And Eiko the manga was
Versus
a manga.
kind of sucks.
Okay, it was a movie. I was wrong.
Yeah, all right.
It's just 80 minutes or short.
But anyway, so movies that are anime, if they come out, we always talk about what anime you should see. You should pretty much see them all because it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, even if they're not good ones, they're so rare, it doesn't take much time to watch them all.
And a lot of them recently have been pretty good that we've been seeing. I mean, Sword of a Stranger, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, even, I haven't seen any, like, awful ones that are painful. They're just, at worst, they're average or slightly above average.
The last bad anime movie I watched all the way through, I think, was Gundam F91.
That's a very old movie. From
It was
1991.
pretty bad. Well, there is also Goro's Earthsea.
That wasn't, that was bad, but it wasn't, like, hideous. Like, I'm dying. This is the worst thing ever.
I don't know, though. It hurt because the animation was so good, but the rest of it was so stupid.
Yeah, it's bad, but there's a lot worse things out there.
Yeah, I guess I don't regret having seen Goro's movie.
Goro, good tournament.
I almost regret seeing Gundam F91 because it was just so fucking boring and long, and I had no idea what was going on, and I kind of fell asleep. And then at the end, everyone's in an orange jumpsuit, and their dads died, and it was just stupid.
Everyone had a dad. Everyone's dad died.
Yep, and every dad was in an orange jumpsuit.
The problem with F91 is it seemed like a compilation movie that didn't leave out the small details, but so it had a lot of small things that had very short scenes, so you didn't care about them because they weren't there long enough to care. Whatever, we've done a show on that.
Yep. So we did see, there was, for those of you who weren't paying attention, another Ghibli movie.
There was.
Yes, and it was not Miyazaki's.
No.
It's one of the non-Miyazaki Ghiblis.
Yeah, I know. People always get these confused a lot. Like, they don't know which, Studio Ghibli movies were directed by Miyazaki and which ones weren't. And they get confused all the time.
Yep. As long as they're not directed by Goro.
Self-included.
So, The Borrowers it looks like there was a cartoon, and a live action.
Yeah, I knew that
and-
there was a thing called the Borrowers, and I didn't know anything else about it. But and I got it confused slightly with the Rescuers for a time, but that was wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
Little people.
Yeah. But basically, the Borrowers is about little people, but it's not Lilliput. It's not what's his name.
Gulliver.
Gulliver and his travels. It's another little people, right? And
You realize only the first bit of Gulliver's Travels is little people.
I know.
Okay.
But whenever you see Gulliver's Travels portrayed in any other medium besides book, it is just mostly focusing on little people.
True, but The Borrowers, basically, this is a straight-up adaptation of The Borrowers, which is the story of these little humanoid people who live in the walls of houses and out in the wilderness and borrow stuff that humans wouldn't miss and don't want to be seen.
Yeah, so for example, rather than, growing sugarcane, which they really can't do because they're tiny and they don't live anywhere near sugar, they steal 1 cube of sugar from some humans at the middle of the night in their kitchen. The humans won't know it was missing because it was 1 cube. But meanwhile, that 1 cube is like enough sugar for fucking months and months for those little tiny people because they're so tiny.
And this
Ignore
is,
the science. It's a fantasy.
And this is kind of a slice of a story. It kind of just picks up kind of in the middle of this life of the borrowers, and there's this kind of underplot of, how come there are so few of us? The borrowers we follow in the story don't actually really know about any other borrowers out there anymore. Like, they've lost contact with everyone.
Yeah, because if you're so small, you can't move around quickly. And you're not making, you don't live in like a big city of borrowers. Your closest people, if assuming there's a borrower in every house, the closest people are in the next house, which is a whole yard away. That's like a week-long trip to get over there.
I don't think a week. They're not that small.
I'm just saying.
They're inches.
If
They're
you
not
don't, if
centimeters.
you can't ride an animal or a boat or a tiny plane, you're not getting over there.
The next yard over is not that far if you're inches tall.
It's far.
No, it's not.
It is, especially when you live in the middle of nowhere like these people.
Well, they live in the middle of nowhere. That's a different thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But the movie basically kind of picks up in the there's this kind of little drama, and then you follow this little story of the kid in this house who has anime heart, a very specific disease.
It's the same disease from what was that?
Staring up at the half moon.
Yeah,
I really like that actually.
I'm remembering. I just didn't remember the name of it, but yeah, I should watch that again.
Anime heart is a very specific disease. It causes you to be bedridden, but yet you can get up and do stuff whenever you need to.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to school. Everyone's afraid you're going to die. If you exert yourself, things get dire and dramatic music plays and you start to sweat.
Yep.
And you may die after the credits.
Oh, you may die earlier than that.
Usually anime heart only kills you after the credits.
And, sometimes anime heart, it can only be cured by miracles. And
Perhaps.
often is cured by miracles of some sort.
The story, what it really picks up with is a family comes to their house.
And anime heart usually only afflicts children.
Yes. And the young boy has anime heart, so he's kind of bedridden, and he sees a borrower, and they're not supposed to be seen. And then we kind of follow the story from
Well, it's
there.
not they're not supposed to be seen. It's not like,
Well, they don't want to be seen.
Right, they don't want to be seen because they're basically afraid that humans will, pull a King Kong situation, right? And rightly so.
Yes, because King Konging seems to happen.
If you saw little people in your apartment, would you not King Kong?
I don't know if I would King Kong per se.
At the very least, you would YouTube King Kong.
And that would cause them trouble.
Possibly.
But the story really, Arrietty from the title is just a young girl. She's like the daughter of 2 of the borrowers. And she doesn't necessarily, she's really curious about this family. And the boy is kind of really nice to her and curious about her. And the parents are like, no, we got to leave. They've seen us. And I'm obviously being very vague and kind of avoiding talking about the plot because it's a movie. You should just go see it. There's no reason not to see this movie.
Yeah.
Nothing we say from this point forward should convince you to see the movie. You should already be on your way to see it.
It's a Studio Ghibli movie. It is not directed by Miyazaki, but the guy who did direct it, what's his name? I don't even know.
It is fantastic and is directed by Yone Bayashi.
Yep. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, but it's very good.
I would say it's fantastic
great.
because it gave me that feeling after you watch a really good movie, just like,
No, it didn't give me the strong feeling of the top level of Ghibli movies,
Really?
such as the Spirited Aways or the.
Well, here's the difference though. Spirited Away
Laputas.
had a bit, and Laputa both had a more epic story. I mean,
the
Laputa
Whisper of
ends
the- or the
with
Whisper
the
of the Heart.
gigantic castle in the sky and the collapse and the pirates and everything.
It's not on the same level as the Whisper of the Heart
And Spirited Away has the epic journey. This
or the
is like,
Castle of Cagliostro.
This is like a slice. It tells one tiny piece of this larger borrower's story.
Yeah. I would put it, slightly above actually Howl's Moving Castle because honestly the only thing I really liked in Howl's Moving Castle was Talking Fire.
Well, Howl's, I think, suffered from the fact that if you hadn't read the book, it was like the plot didn't really make sense.
Yeah, that was
at the end. You're like, what's all this?
Yeah, but the Talking Fire really helped out.
But no, I really like The Borrowers just because it had.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying
really
you're just like, oh, fantastic. I'm like, fantastic is a level too high for me.
No, I would call it fantastic because it mainly.
I would say great.
It had the Ghibli atmosphere to a T.
Well, because the Ghibli animators went all out.
It kind of followed at least in like the way I felt watching it, like the atmosphere from Ponyo. In that it kind of had this slow, explore this setting and the
I would
people.
definitely say it was equal to Ponyo.
Lots of great
exactly equal
animation. I think the animation really sold it too. Like the fact that right in the beginning you notice that they animated the water tension, like the surface tension of water, relatively accurately to little people. So like you're trying to pour tea and like one blob kind of just goes like plop into the cup.
Yeah,
and
that
when
was,
they cry,
that was really
like,
cool. It's like they didn't pay attention to science so much because obviously little people not possible.
Nope.
But a lot of other things that were somewhat scientific of like what would it really be like if you were that small? What kind of concerns would you have? What would be different? They paid attention to some of those things, like you said, tension of liquids.
Yep, and that just made a really neat atmosphere. Like, look at all the detail they put into the kind of environment the borrowers had built inside the house. Like, all the nails and the journeys and the sound, too. They really did a good job with the soundscape. And, the fridge makes, like, horrible, distant death noises all the time when it's in scene.
Yep. All right. So, what else do you guys say about this besides watch it?
You don't have much to say about it, do you?
I mean, it was 90 minutes. It was a pretty good movie. I don't know.
I mean, it had such great attention to detail. The music was good. Not great. The music kind of just worked. The song was interesting because the theme of the movie was actually in English.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was.
There's a whole story behind why they chose that artist and everything that I read, but I don't remember the details enough to impart it to you. But I believe it was something to do with, like, the artist, who is not Japanese, had mailed a copy of her latest CD to the studio as a gift for something, and then they liked it, so they used it in the movie.
Not really.
I read something about that, but
Yeah.
I don't remember it in detail.
That's interesting, because usually that's the sort of thing that, like, a scary fanboy would do and would get ignored. One thing about the movie that was only slightly confusing, right, was there was the housekeeping lady.
I don't think it was confusing because one, it is set up early on that she just doesn't know much about the outside world.
No, that clearly. But the thing is, it's like her motive, like why she's obviously the bad guy. She's not evil, but she's the bad guy.
No, I would argue that she is in fact evil. She's a creeper.
She is a creeper, but
she's a creeper to a T.
She's not evil like friggin' Darth Vader evil, right?
No, but she's a creeper, which is a side of evil.
But anyway, it's like what? It's like she wants to get the borrowers. Like she sees them.
No, well, think about it. Her motivation is pretty simple. She obviously, remember when they're talking about the little people earlier in the movie? And the mother, like the family is like, yay, the little people, the stories from our great uncles and the people in the past in the family and the dollhouse and everything. And she probably has noticed things missing or has seen things, and she thinks they exist, and it bothers her, and she wants to prove that they're real, and she doesn't like the fact that everyone else kind of treats this as kind of like fairy tale, and they're very happy about it. Like, she wants to prove that they're there, to prove that she's not just going crazy.
Yeah, it seems to
also, she's a creeper.
Yeah, but it's like
she makes this great face.
If she just wants to prove that they're there, it's like, but she could have done that immediately, but then she called like the exterminators to come and trap more.
She wanted to catch the rest of them probably and then like show it to the newspapers.
Yeah, so but like she never that motive of like let's make money off these little people was and can't do the King Kong was never explicitly stated. So it was sort of like
I don't think it needed to be. It was pretty obvious.
Like what is she doing?
Because she didn't like vermin. She was already like wanting exterminators and things early on.
If she wanted to just make, do the King Kong thing, she had one already, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but she knew there were more.
Yeah, whatever.
And she wanted to get the rest of them right away.
Anyway, so after we watched the movie, we went on YouTube and we searched for The Borrowers, and we found
there is a treasure trove of terrible old
apparently
things.
there was a really old TV show, and there was also a more recent live action movie in the U.S. And we watched like trailers and previews and clips from all.
There's
these.
a lot of stuff.
They were all horrible and horrifying simultaneously. So actually, this is kind of good because it gives you hope in a way, right? There's a lot of things out there that
Scott, My Little Pony.
That's another one, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out there that either started in one medium of art and they were, transferred to other mediums very poorly. For, such as My Little Pony, which I guess My Little Pony started as a TV show, but...
It started terrible, it maintained terribleness, and then was rebooted.
Right, but I mean, there's plenty of, books that were awesome and then had, a bunch of horrible movies made after them, right? Or there are plenty of video games that are a bunch of horrible movies made out of them.
All of them?
Right. So there's still hope, though, that even though every attempt to translate something into another medium has been a horrible failure, if the right person does it with the right attitude, you have another chance, and people might not even remember the other bad ones if they're old enough.
If only we could get people to forget about previous G4 My Little Pony, so make it disappear.
You mean My Little Pony prior to G4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pre-G4 is not anyway. It's
G's
not the My Little Pony
G's
cast.
1, 2, and 3.
But all the little details, like Arrietty, the main character, I really like her because she has the good balance of she's definitely a Ghibli heroine.
No kidding.
But she's the right amount of adventurous and defiant and cool and badass, all mixed in one.
Yeah, but the other thing I liked about her more than some of the other Ghibli heroines is that she's actually somewhat more careful than the other ones. A lot of the other ones are just so badass. Like Nausicaa's just I'm gonna fucking go out there and do it. We're going right in the fucking nasty, horrible forest of death. Fuck you, right? Whereas Arrietty's more all right, yeah, I don't really want to get seen by the humans and get caught or eaten by the cat or anything.
Yep.
So she has a little more common sense and carefulness.
She doesn't just take that sugar cube with the little note.
Exactly. She seems like a real person who's more intelligent and not just running into danger to make conflict for a movie, It's she's more reasonable.
Though her with her cute sword and that little clip she puts in her hair.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. I like how the clip kind of looks like mouse ears from the right angle. I think that was intentional.
Maybe.
Being a little person.
Mm-hmm.
And the family's just great. The mom's, the worried mom, and the dad's just
the mom was kind of annoying, but the dad was awesome.
The dad's just the badass, quiet Ghibli dad.
Yeah, dad's cool.
Yeah.
I also like how, you didn't have that sort there's those certain things is this going to go dad dies kind of story, and it doesn't go that way.
No, I didn't expect any of that.
It just goes it's nice to see though, because usually whenever there's a family thing, because when you have any kind of anime, usually they don't focus on characters' families unless they're going to do something with them. There'll be if you have a show about a school, they'll only show you the parents of a kid if those parents are going to do something like die or make trouble or become bad guys or something. Otherwise, you never see the rest of the kid's family at all. They don't exist at all, and no one talks about them. So the fact that the parents are there, it's something's going to happen with them.
Stuff did, but let's zoom out a little bit.
Obviously, stuff did happen.
In
but
the
it
early
wasn't...
part of the movie, there were tons of Chekhov's rats and Chekhov's swords, and none of them Chekhov. They were just atmosphere.
They were.
And that was actually kind of refreshing.
Yeah,
I thought the movie...
When I saw those rats at the beginning, I was like, rats are going to eat somebody.
I thought this movie was going to go in this one particular direction just based on all the Chekhovs, and then... It really didn't at all.
No, not at all.
I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, I like that.
Right away, I expected there to be some sort of continuing camaraderie drama between that dumbass crow and the fat cat. But then
the crow had his scene and never came back.
Yeah, the crow had two scenes. He attacks the cat for no good reason.
And he gets stuck in the window.
Which is actually a pretty great scene.
Which is pretty awesome. And then you never see him again.
I love how the kid is just sitting there what the fuck do I do? And he the crow's trying to struggle. And every time he tries to help the crow starts pecking him. So he backs off. And then the crow starts struggling again. And there's just...
Yep.
And I do enjoy the housekeeper because she... we keep saying she's a creeper. Just wait. Watch this movie. You'll see. There are 10 scenes where someone's doing something and in the background she's like, hey. She makes this face.
Well, a lot of Ghibli characters, especially bad ones, sort of have that mouth open, kind of heavy breathing kind of thing that happens once or twice a movie.
Yeah, but she does this every time nobody's looking.
There's a lot of, a lot of those typical Ghibli things. There's like some soot ball-like creatures in the very early scene that are, they're always kind of hanging around.
But like when she locks the kid in the room and the way she was creeping for so long, I have expected the maid to like try to murder the whole family.
Yeah, get some sort of inherited. Like, well, I didn't know what her motive was. And still, so it was like, is she going to like hoping the kid dies? Like, what is she up to here?
I feel like she is going to murder the family, but that's after the credits.
Maybe.
Unless Anime Heart gets the kid first.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't want to say anything else about this movie because
I assume Disney's going to put it on DVD eventually, right?
it's fantastic,
like they do.
or at least really good,
Yep.
and there's no reason not to see it, and there's no reason for us to spoil it or talk about the cool stuff that happens in it because you'll see it, and it's awesome, and we're just going to say, oh man, remember when?
It's a Ghibli movie. How could you not watch it? What's wrong with you? If you're any kind of anime fan, it's not, it's not Earthsea, so why wouldn't you see it? It takes 90 minutes of your life.
You can see Earthsea, just don't turn on the subtitles. Don't watch the scenes with the blob at the end.
Just look at screenshots.
Just skip from when the blob appears to when the dragon comes.
Sure.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
It's Wednesday, August 17th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I accidentally opened a tab.
It's Wednesday, August 7th.